Verdict. We've got Wale Ogunade, the president of Voter Awareness Initiative. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
Would you say the conduct of these elections was better than 2015?
Relatively better.
How do you mean?
I mean, the logistics, the activities, the comportment of the voters was better than 2015. The activities of INEC, I would say, is better. Don't forget that. I'll just be a little bit classical. If somebody has a task which is bigger than what he used to do, definitely it will overwhelm him.
Even though if the person got far much more
than
what they got before.
Money is not everything. There are several intervening factors.
No, what they requested for, they got.
No.
Money inclusive.
Several intervening factors came in.
Such as?
Such as the activities of the political class.
That's a given. It's a constant.
No. One thing that was clear was that there was timeline given to the political class to meet up, which they failed to meet up. And of course, as we talk now, there are several cases in respect of this election.
Yeah, but that did not stop the elections from going on.
That's where I'm going. That all those things are factors that one will say, okay, that with those things, they are able still to go on. It may not be perfect to a large extent, but as far as I'm concerned, I'll still give it to them that they have tried within all their ability.
Now, how do we say that? Because, I mean, if you look at some of the stats released by Yaga Africa, they say that as at 10 a.m., using their PVT software, they said 41% of polls had not opened. No, it was only 41% that opened as at 10 a.m. on election day. And if you have only 41% that opened as at 10 a.m., when it was supposed to be 8 a.m., we know the implication that tabulation goes late into the night, and it gives room to all sorts of things.
Yes.
So how do you then say it's better?
No, to me it's better because of the workload they have. In 2015, they had less political parties to contend with, and that means that they had less documents to relate with. We also saw how they went through the collation and eventual release of the results. To me, it was an onerous tax, but then they were still able to contend with it. This is the first time they are handling such a huge number of political parties.
Yeah, but it didn't take them unawares. They said that they were ready for this. They registered the political parties. They did all the preparations. They didn't ask for help and didn't get it.
To all intents and purposes, sometimes talk is cheap. When you get to the assignment itself, you know that, if I had known, I would have added or asked for or engaged or taken some other options.
In other words, the commission underestimated these elections.
To all intents and purposes here is the thought that it's a done deal.
So
not
they overestimated their capabilities then?
I would say yes, they underestimated their capability and ability. But despite all, to me, they have delivered.
How deep is the voter apathy in these elections, considering the average of 35.6% in voter turnout compared to other elections?
Obviously, I'm shocked about the percentage of voter turnout because we thought that we have done a whole lot of homework because people like me, we went around Nigeria trying to educate people on the importance of the voting activities. But again, be that as it may, I would have expected, again, I still put the blame now again on the political class. And they are the beneficiaries or the victim, depending on how you look at it, of a poor voter education. And when I started this project of voter awareness, I challenged all the political parties that they must create a voter awareness or voter education department in their political parties.
But INEC has voter education department.
No, you see, that's my problem. All of us have a role to play. I agree, I appreciate the sentiments of my colleagues in Abuja. All these things are issues that we have to work on. We can't look at INEC, and INEC is overburdened. And that's why all these issues that we are discussing now. How do they, again, maybe if time permits, we'll look at party financing. Right, because one way or the other, years ago, I guess about 10 years ago, I first brought in about this type of the issue of party financing, and we had a program, a training on that we must restrict the level of funding of political parties, candidates, and so on. It's in the part of the rules and regulation of INEC that they must do it. But are they put in place? Are the candidates monitored in their spending? So, but maybe we should not digress. We'll now look at their activities. Are they really on? And since they could not, with the number of participation, the awareness level now, we found out that people ordinarily will not feel that maybe we don't want to, maybe security issues, maybe the way the tension, the build up to the election itself, that no, we don't want to be part of it, it is dangerous, it is risky. Then some people will say, okay, I just want to sit down, let them be.
Do you think it's a calculated step? Because a lot of people came out on that day, at least from the feelers and the reports that we got.
In fact, that's...
Let me finish. A lot of people came out on that day, early morning, somewhere there as early as 4 a.m. in the morning, waiting for INEC to arrive, INEC officials to arrive, the PUs. That didn't happen for a lot of people. And when it eventually did, as Madame Boma Alabi did say, people were already there. But we got into the process. We got to a point where later on in the evening, the process was still on in virtually most places. That in itself, was it capable of discouraging people on the one hand? Number two, the actions of the security forces, the apparatus that was used in deploying them, did it contribute to reducing this number of participation, or reducing the number of participation and increasing voter apathy?
Yes, let me, maybe the order of Buhari about shoot and sight, coupled with the tension on ground, and coupled with the traditional knowledge that election generally don't go peaceful. There are some people who one way or the other want to manipulate, either rig, either foment trouble. And we know we have a history of stray bullets in Nigeria. Some people may not be caught in the straight bullet route. And the best way for them is to keep off. There are some people that die in the wood, like people like us. If you hear that bullets are flying all over, you still go there to do what you want to do. It does not matter.
At your risk.
I mean, I'm a Luther man. I've been in the trenches. We have seen bullets flying before us, police. And of course, don't forget, in our student union days too, you'll be shouting, how many students soldiers go kill, how many students. So sometimes I now sit down and wonder, Kai, I no pity my mama. If I just died like that, that would be it. But again, that's the passion. There are some people like that. And there are some people, even if there is calm and peace, they will not go out. Even in the school, when they hear bam, that the soldiers are around, they will find one way or the other to run out of the campus. So we have various types of people. But yes, I am surprised, really, because I guess in another program, I don't think on this platform, that I really was telling people that we'll get 70% of voter turnout. So it's as if we have half of that, my projection. And it really, which means that we'll have to go back again and do a lot of work.
Why did you say 70? What gave you confidence?
I've done some things now. Well, I will take away the social media.
Even with the soldiers deployed. You still had 70, even with soldiers deployed.
This is not the first time. Edo, in the first election, I can't remember the year now, when Oshomole was about to go for a second term, Edo State was literally filled up with military people. You remember? Yeah. But then people came out, in fact, that was the highest turnout of voters. It's not about the soldiers then, and I'm surprised. I don't just know what happened. To be honest, I can't hazard a guess as to why we have this low turnout.
Could it be because, okay, you talked about voter education from the political parties, from INEC. Naturally, the political parties will be interested in people getting information about their candidates. So would you call that political enough voter education? INEC, as you said, is overwhelmed. Okay, is that enough to persuade people to come out?
That's what I'm saying, that the political parties and all stakeholders, every one of us have not played our role.
What do you expect political parties
let me just take it out, and I'm happy Gimba is here. In the North, you don't stress people to come out to vote. On election day, you don't see boys, no matter how, small boys playing football, they will be in the polling unit voting. But here in the south, particularly southwest, when I was coming and going around, I saw people, young boys, they were busy playing football.
What's responsible for that?
That's what I'm saying. Since the political parties, the community leaders, and all of us have not played a role, particularly candidates too. Look, you don't talk to these people that, look, I need you. There's what in America they call it getting the votes. You don't do anything. You just sit down traditionally, and some of them sit down on social media, and there's no polling booth in the social media.
Do you think it's because people do not get enough incentive?
No, yes, incentive, because they just say that, concern me. It's their own, it's their wahala. There's nothing to look. Your future is tied to this vote. Your life is tied to it. Development is tied to it.
So it's beyond awareness.
Okay, yes, it's beyond awareness. It's about engagement. And of course, me too. I have seen one or two things now that I work on. When my colleagues in Abuja were talking, I've seen one or two things that we work on for the civil societies. Then, of course, thank God. You see, when God wants to move, he will use anybody, including the head. If Mahmoud could say that, yes, we need a big conversation after this election, and there are a whole lot of issues surrounding these things. So all of us will now sit down, irrespective. You see, in my profession in law, any foolish idea you have, bring it on the table. In chambers, when we are discussing, sometimes is my one of sometimes I have people, lawyers too, lawyers who are university students who come for attachment. Some of them, they will say, Esther, this is that. Don't you see, if we take this issue, if we look at it this way, I'll say, that's true. Wonderful girl, keep it up. Sometimes in area of thought, sometimes in area of evidence, sometimes in area of, what was it, contract, agreement, breach or something. I'll say, that's great. So, and of course, because together, ideas flow. We harvest from each other. So there's nobody who is foolish. When I started voters awareness, I never looked at the idea of a situation room. But now ideas are coming. People are bringing ideas. People are bringing ideas. So all of us must come together. Because my sister said it, and of course, some of us have gone outside Nigeria before. We know that in other climes, this is not how elections are conducted. So we must talk about how elections are conducted, so that we get it right.
Were you disappointed to see, because this is part of the stats as well, released by, as a result of the PVT that was deployed, Yaga said 7% of the PUs, the smart card readers, were not used. And this was contrary to the expectations, because INEC had repeatedly said at the time, if you do not use smart card reader, it's 0 votes. But here, 7%, it wasn't used. And then 5% of the PUs, they had smart card reader malfunctioned, and it was not replaced.
Well, to me, I'll just say those are work in progress, and all those things are things that we look at. All of us, fortunately, I want to believe that all of us who are on this table know what we call the mock exam by Baba Yaba. We call them Baba Yaba then. There is a mock. And I've been advocating that for years. That let's testosterone all the card readers that they will use. In fact, particularly the card reader, their signal, their cyber cafe, their internet activities, weeks before the election, they should do a test run.
There was a typology of that test run in 2015.
In 2015.
If you remember.
For the 6 geopolitical zones.
I know.
But in this case, it wasn't.
And that's where I'm going. That let's have it. There is a test run. Definitely we'll know, and it should be like the continue. Don't forget that. You see, that's why we are saying that we continue to